I stood outside Claire's apartment door with my heart pounding, trying to steady my breathing. I kept whispering, "It's going to be okay." She smiled. "She'll say yes." The velvet box felt heavy in my pocket, like I already knew something I didn't. When she opened the door, she didn't even try to look happy. Instead, she said, "Why are you here so late?" I forced a smile and answered, "I wanted to see you." "Can I come in?" She stepped aside without a word, and I walked into the room, trying not to notice how cold her voice felt. I said, "You seem upset. Did something happen?" She shrugged and looked away. "Nothing you need to worry about. Just say whatever you came to say." I hesitated because her tone felt sharp, like she was already angry before I even spoke. "Claire, I've been thinking about us, and She cut me off. "Ethan, please. Don't drag this out. You love making everything dramatic." I felt the air crack in my chest, but I said, "I'm not trying to be dramatic. I just want to talk to you." She rolled her eyes and muttered, "Then talk." I took a breath and pulled the ring box from my pocket. Her eyes narrowed. "What are you doing?" I said, "Claire, this is for you." I knelt, feeling my voice shake. "I've saved for months. I love you, and I want a future with you." When I opened the box, the ring caught the light. She stared at it, then spat on it like it was trash. "That's what I think." I froze. "Claire, why?" She said, "Because you're not worthy. You never were." "Did you really believe I'd marry you?" My hands trembled. "I thought you loved me." She laughed softly, like the idea was ridiculous. "Love, Ethan? You can't even support yourself. How would you support me?" I felt my throat tighten. "I've given you everything I could." "You know that?" she snapped. "Everything?" "It was never enough. You're small. You're slow. You're not on my level." I tried to breathe, but my lungs felt tight. "We were fine last week." She rolled her eyes. "You were fine." I was bored. My voice cracked. "Why didn't you tell me?" She looked away. "Because talking to you changes nothing." I heard a door open down the hall. A man's voice said, "Claire, you done? I'm getting cold." When Mason walked out, my stomach dropped. His shirt was half-buttoned, and his hair was a mess. I whispered, "Mason, you're here." He grinned. "Yeah, didn't know you'd still be around." I looked at Claire, my voice barely there. "How long?" She answered, "Months. We've been together for months." My heart cracked as I said, "While you were with me." She shrugged. "It's not a big deal." "You'll move on," Mason added. "You're a good guy, Ethan, but she's out of your league." I felt heat rising in my face. "You stole her from me?" He smirked. "Can't steal what wasn't yours." I said, "Claire, I loved you. I thought we were building a life." She sighed loudly. "You thought—" I didn't. I need someone strong, someone who can give me more than sweet words. I felt my voice shake. "You could have told me," she said. "You never listen. You cling. You beg." I got tired. Mason laughed under his breath, and I snapped, "You think this is funny?" He replied, "A little. You walked in right on time." I looked at Claire one last time. Was anything real? Any moment? Any kiss? Any promise? She said, "Not enough to matter." I felt my heart drop, but I said, "I hope one day you regret this." She smiled coldly. "Doubt it?" Turned away, holding the ring close to my chest. She said behind me, "Don't make this a scene. Just leave." I stopped at the door. "You broke me, Claire, but you didn't have to enjoy it," she answered. "I didn't break you." "You were already weak," Mason added. "Let's wrap this up." "I'm hungry." I turned my head enough to see her expression. Nothing. Not guilt, not pain, just boredom. I said, "One day you'll look back and understand what you threw away." She shrugged. "I doubt that. Now go." My hand tightened on the ring box. "You know, I came here thinking tonight would change our lives. I just didn't know it would end mine," Mason said. Drama again. I ignored him and walked out the door. Feeling the world collapse around me, I forced myself down the hallway, trying not to fall apart. The ring box felt heavy in my hand, like a piece of my own heart. I whispered, "How did this happen to me?" But no answer came. I kept walking, hearing their voices behind me fade into nothing. Outside, the cold air hit my face, and I felt my eyes burn. I said, "You're okay, Ethan. Just keep moving." But my legs shook. Every step felt wrong, like I was leaving a life I never truly had. I stopped under a streetlight and opened the box again. Her spit still glistened on the ring, and the sight stabbed through my chest. I whispered, "Was I really that easy to throw away?" A tear fell, but I wiped it off quickly. "No more, Ethan. No more. Just walk." I stumbled down the stairs of Claire's building, clutching the ruined ring so tightly the edge cut into my palm. My breath sounded shaky. "Why did she say that?" I whispered. "Why wasn't I enough?" Her voice kept echoing, "You were never worthy." I stepped onto the street, and the night felt blurry. I kept replaying the moment she spat on the ring. I heard Mason's voice in my head and felt sick. "Maybe I really wasn't good enough," I muttered. My chest hurt like someone had punched through me. I walked home without noticing the lights or the traffic. Every sound felt distant. When I reached my apartment, my hands were trembling. My phone buzzed. It was Noah, I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Hey dude, what's wrong? You sound wrecked." "I'm fine," I lied. "No, you're not. Talk to me." I sat on the edge of my bed. "I went to Claire's place." My voice cracked. Noah went quiet. "I was going to propose you what?" "I had the ring," I whispered. "I saved for months." "Ethan, what happened?" "She told me I wasn't good enough for her," I said. "She said I was never worthy of her love." Noah cursed. "She actually said that?" "Yeah." "What the hell is wrong with her?" I swallowed hard. Mason was there. Noah's voice exploded. "That cheating don't," I said quickly, defending them out of habit. "Maybe it's my fault." "No," Noah snapped. "Don't you dare blame yourself." I rubbed my face. She looked bored, man. Like breaking me didn't matter. "Ethan, listen to me. She doesn't deserve you." I still felt like I failed. "No, they've failed you." I stared at the ring, now smudged from where she spit on it. "I thought she loved me. I thought she had decent taste," he muttered. "But clearly not." A weak laugh escaped me. "I don't know what to do. First, breathe. Second, stop thinking anything about this was your fault. I can't stop replaying it." "Oh!" "But you're not dying." My chest tightened. "Actually, it hurts a lot. Like something's wrong with me. It's heartbreak, Ethan. It feels physical." "That's because it is," he said softly. "But you'll get through it." "I don't feel like I will." "You will. I've got you," I sighed. "Thanks, Noah. Anytime. Call me if it gets worse." After we hung up, I lay in the dark with the ring in my hand. "Why'd you do that to me, Claire?" I whispered. My chest squeezed again. I sat up, panicking. I grabbed my phone and typed symptoms into a search bar. Chest pain, tightness, shaking, loss of appetite. "Great," I muttered. "I'm dying." But every result said the same thing. Anxiety, heartbreak, stress. I fell back against my pillow. Perfect. I stared at the ring again. How can love turn into this? Sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her expression of disgust. I curled my fingers around the ring and felt something shift inside me. I didn't know what it meant, but it wasn't hope. Not yet. I tried closing my eyes, but the silence felt sharp. My mind kept circling the same question. What did I miss? I whispered, "How long was she lying to me?" The sting came back, and I pressed my hand to my chest. My phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Still up?" I replied, "Yeah." Called again. "Talk to me," he said. "You're not okay." "I keep seeing her face," I admitted. She looked irritated, like I was wasting her time. "That's because she's cold," he said. "I keep thinking maybe I misunderstood her," I said. But then Mason walked out. Noah groaned. "Did he say anything?" He smirked. I whispered, like he was proud. "You didn't lose anything worth keeping." "Why do I still feel like I did?" "Because you cared," he said. I let out a shaky breath. I didn't even get angry. I just shut down. It felt like the world just dropped, I murmured. "I wish I'd been there," he said. I'd have pulled you out before they hurt you worse. I swallowed hard. I should have left sooner.
You trusted her?
That isn't a flaw. I stared at the ring again. I thought she was my future. She doesn't get to be anymore. I closed my eyes. Everything feels like it's collapsing. That's what endings feel like, Noah said softly. But you'll get through it. Right. Tonight, I arrived at the river house carrying the contract papers like they were evidence of some crime I had committed. Just hand them over and leave, I muttered to myself. Though my voice shook hard enough that the guard at the gate glanced at me twice, inside, everything smelled polished and expensive. Nothing like the small apartment Claire and I once dreamed of sharing. I shouldn't be here, I whispered. Julia appeared first, stepping out from the hallway with a tense smile. Ethan, wait. Can we talk for a second? She asked, touching my arm gently. If this is about hurrying up, I'm trying, I said.
Oh.
Though my chest felt tight. No, she murmured. I want you to understand something. Claire hasn't been herself. Not since Mason arrived. He changed everything here. I swallowed hard. Changed how? Her confidence turned into this cold arrogance, Julia said. And our parents encouraged it. They thought you weren't successful enough. They pushed her to aim higher. So they wanted Mason, I said, the words trembling. They wanted status, she corrected softly. And Mason gave them that illusion. She squeezed my arm. You didn't lose because you were lacking. You lost because they stopped valuing real things. I didn't know what to say, so I asked, Does Claire know you're telling me this? Julia sighed. She won't listen to me anymore. She hesitated. Just don't think this is your fault. Before I could respond, Claire's voice cut through the hallway. Why are you still here, Ethan? I turned, and for a second I couldn't breathe. I came to return the contract papers, I said. Good. Then hand them over and go, she replied flatly. Her parents watched from the living room, saying nothing, pretending the tension wasn't thick enough to choke on. I walked toward Claire, trying to keep my hands steady. Here, I said quietly. These belong to you. Obviously, she muttered. Then Mason stepped into the doorway behind her, shirt crisp, expression smug. Didn't think you'd actually show up, he said. I don't want any trouble, I whispered. He smirked. Then leave. Claire crossed her arms. Ethan, why drag this out? Take the hint and stay out. You're not part of this world anymore. I wasn't trying to be, I said, my throat burning. I just wanted closure. Closure. She laughed harshly. This isn't a romance novel. You don't get a dramatic goodbye. You just disappear. I felt something inside me collapse again, the same way it did the night she destroyed the ring. If that's what you want, I murmured. It is, she said, already turning away. Mason leaned closer. Try not to embarrass yourself again. I clenched the empty envelope. I won't bother either of you anymore. See that you don't, Claire said. I turned around and forced myself to walk toward the door, each step heavier than the last. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought they could hear it. I kept my eyes down, afraid that if I looked back even once, I'd fall apart in front of them. Just as I reached the front door, I heard quick footsteps behind me. Ethan, wait, Julia whispered. I stopped but didn't face her. Did I forget something? No, She exhaled shakily. You deserved better than what they did to you. I finally looked at her. Why tell me that now? Because no one else here will, she said. And because you need to hear it before you walk out thinking you're worthless. You aren't. I didn't know how to respond. Thank you, I finally whispered. Please don't blame yourself, she said again. People who love power more than loyalty always betray the wrong ones. Her words stunned me. Something tiny, something fragile and unfamiliar, flickered inside my chest, a strange spark I didn't recognize. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was anger waking up. Take care of yourself, Ethan, Julia said softly. I'll try, I replied. I stepped outside into the cold air. For the first time since everything collapsed, I felt a faint shift inside me, like a door had opened just a crack. Julia's voice followed me, echoing in my head long after the river house faded from view. You deserved better. Maybe she was wrong, but maybe she wasn't. As I walked down the driveway, I breathed shakily, trying to steady my thoughts, letting the cold wind press against my skin until it reminded me I was still here. Still surviving despite everything. By morning, the weight in my chest felt impossibly heavy again. At work, I stared at my screen without understanding a single line. My coworker asked if I was okay, and I lied automatically. I said I was tired, but he kept watching me nervously. My hands shook so hard I could barely move the mouse. When my boss called me into his office, I already knew. He said, "Ethan, you're not yourself today, so you should head home." I nodded because arguing required strength I no longer had. Outside the building, the wind hit me like a breaking wave. I walked home without thinking, guided only by the ache inside. When I unlocked my apartment door, everything finally collapsed at once. I fell to the floor and cried so hard I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like something sharp pushed against my ribs repeatedly. I whispered Claire's name, even though I hated myself for doing it. I asked, why wasn't I enough? Until my throat burned painfully. When the knocking started, I almost ignored it completely. But Noah's voice followed, loud and stubborn, through the door. He said, "Ethan, open up, man. I know you're inside." I dragged myself upward and opened the door with trembling hands. Noah stepped in immediately and stared at my swollen face. He asked what happened. Did something else go wrong today? I shook my head, whispering that everything just hurt too much. Noah crouched in front of me and grabbed my shoulders firmly. He said, "You can't keep holding this in. Talk to me." I told him I felt broken and ashamed for still missing her. He cursed Mason immediately, demanding to know why I defended them. I whispered that maybe I deserved what happened, which angered him. He said, "Don't ever say that again. They destroyed you, not vice versa." His words made my shoulders shake, and another sob escaped me. He pulled me into a hug until my breathing finally slowed down. When he stepped back, he said I needed real help now. I asked what he meant, still wiping tears from my eyes. He said therapy could help me understand the pain instead of drowning. I told him I was scared of what I might uncover inside. Noah replied, "Being scared means you're ready to heal, not hide." Before he left, he promised he'd check on me later tonight. After he was gone, silence filled the apartment like a blanket. I sat on the couch, trembling until my phone suddenly rang. Seeing Lily's name, I answered immediately because she never called randomly. She said she heard I left work early and was worried. Her voice sounded calm and warm, almost enough to steady my breathing. She asked, "Ethan, what's happening to you lately? Please tell me." I told her everything, every detail, every moment that still haunted me. Lily didn't interrupt, just breathed softly while I fought through tears. When I apologized for rambling, she told me I wasn't weak at all. She said pain meant my heart cared deeply, not that it failed. Her kindness made my throat tighten until I whispered a broken thank you. She said I deserved support and shouldn't face all this alone. After the call ended, I sat there feeling shaken but strangely lighter. Something inside me admitted I couldn't survive this pain by myself anymore. So I opened my laptop and searched for therapists near my neighborhood. My hands trembled again as I scrolled through names and descriptions. I kept thinking I wasn't ready, but I clicked one anyway. The appointment page asked for a date, and I chose next Tuesday. When the confirmation email arrived, I stared at it in silence. Part of me felt terrified, but another part felt quietly relieved. I whispered that maybe I could learn to breathe normally again someday. The apartment felt less suffocating, though the ache still lingered deeply. I lay back on the couch and closed my eyes slowly. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel completely hopeless inside. I whispered a promise to myself that I would keep moving forward. Even if healing scared me, staying broken scared me even more tonight. I breathed slowly and let the quiet remind me that change was possible. Noah's and Lily's voices echoed gently, urging me not to disappear again. I held on to that support like a fragile anchor, keeping me from sinking. I realized healing required courage, but maybe courage could grow from pain. Yes. "I'm not sure where to start," I muttered, when I sat down across from Dr. Rowan Blake. His office smelled like paper and mint. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. He watched me with calm eyes and said, "Start with what hurts the most." "Claire," I whispered. "The ring, everything." He nodded. "Tell me what you felt that night." "I felt like someone took a sledgehammer to my chest." I said. "She spit on the ring. She said I wasn't worthy, and I believed her." "Why did you believe her?" he asked. "I don't know," I said, "but I did know. Because I spent years accepting whatever she gave me, even the cold parts. I kept thinking she'd warm up if I just tried harder." "That sounds like emotional dependency," Dr. Blake said. "Not love." I stared at the carpet. "So I ruined myself for nothing?" "No," he said gently. "You survived. Now you learn." I rubbed my palms together. "I don't know how." "Start by naming what you lost," he said. "Then name what was never yours to begin with." Those words hit me harder than Claire ever did. I swallowed and said, "I lost what I thought we had. And maybe she never loved me the way I loved her." "It sounds honest," he said. "How does it feel to say it?" "It hurts," I admitted. "But it also feels like air." When the session ended, he handed me a small notebook. "Write your truth every night." Not hers. Yours. Outside, the sky felt brighter. Not lighter, but clearer. I walked home with the notebook pressed to my chest. That evening, Noah barged into my apartment with his usual dramatic energy. "Dude, how was therapy? Did he fix your soul yet?" "No," I said, dropping onto the couch. "But he made me see things." "Like what?" "That I kept giving Claire pieces of me she never asked for," I said. "And she kept taking them because she knew I wouldn't stop." Noah sat beside me. "Ethan, she didn't deserve any of it." "I know," I said quietly. "But knowing doesn't make it stop hurting." He hesitated before pulling out his phone. "Okay, I didn't want to show you this, but you need to see what kind of person she actually is now." "What is it?" I asked. He handed me the screen. Claire and Mason were in a photo together at some rooftop bar, smiling like their betrayal was a love story. The caption read, "Finally, with the right person." My stomach tightened, but I didn't break. Not this time. Noah watched me closely. "Say something, man." "I'm fine," I said, surprising myself. "It hurts, but it's different." "Different how?" "It doesn't destroy me," I said. "It just shows me who she is, and who I was." Noah let out a slow exhale. "So, what now?" I lifted the notebook. I write. I figure myself out." "That sounds painfully healthy," he said. "I'm proud of you." I gave a weak laugh. "Don't be proud yet. I still feel like my chest is full of broken glass. Yeah, but at least you're not trying to swallow it anymore." I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "Therapy might actually help." "It will," Noah said. "Just don't run from it." Later that night, I sat alone at my desk, the notebook open to a blank page. My pen hovered for a long time before I finally wrote, "I thought Claire was my future, but she was just the storm I kept walking into."
Right.
Once I wrote the first line, more followed. My fear, my anger, my memories, my confusion, my hope. It all spilled out, messy and raw. By the time I closed the notebook, my chest felt lighter than it had in weeks. I wasn't healed, but I was awake, and maybe that was the first real step before going to bed. I caught my reflection in the window and whispered, "I'm still here." The words felt comforting. For the first time since everything happened, I didn't feel like I was fading. I felt like I was beginning again. Weeks passed, and I could feel the weight on my chest lifting slowly. I noticed the mornings felt clearer, my thoughts less jagged. I walked through the park one evening, headphones in, and realized I actually smiled at something, a bird landing on the railing, and didn't feel guilty for it. My phone buzzed. It was Julia. I opened the message. "Claire has been fighting with Mason nonstop. You'd be surprised how quickly cracks appear when you finally stop covering for someone." I stared at the screen and felt a strange mix of satisfaction and relief. I texted back, "Thanks. Good to know she's not perfect after all." Later that night, Lily called. "Hey, stranger. "How's the new you holding up?" she asked. Her voice was calm, warm, like always. I chuckled. "Better than I deserve, maybe? I'm slowly getting used to breathing without her weight on me." She laughed softly. "You sound lighter. Keep at it." I nodded even though she couldn't see me. Then she said, "By the way, Claire's been losing friends. People are getting tired of her attitude. You remember how nice it felt to see through her facade?" I frowned, remembering how blind I'd been. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Feels weirdly satisfying. Not saying you should gloat," Lily continued. "But maybe seeing her reality crumble a little will help you remember you're okay without her." I swallowed, feeling heat rush to my face. I don't know if it's gloating. I can't believe she was really like that. And now I see her losing the world she thought she could control. Lily sighed. "It's like karma, but slow. Like a river that carves out a canyon over time." I smiled faintly. "That's poetic." "Just remember," she said, "you're building your own life. Don't get distracted by theirs too much." "I'm trying," I said, "but I can't help noticing." A few days later, Noah dropped by my apartment with protein bars and dumbbells. "You're looking stronger, man," he said. "Don't let them make you forget you exist." I laughed, lifting a weight. "Thanks. I've been working out more. Eating better. Trying to stay in my own lane." He nodded approvingly. "Good. Focus on you. They're busy destroying themselves. Let them." I felt a warmth in my chest. Even though I wasn't actively wishing harm on Claire or Mason, I couldn't deny the satisfaction of hearing rumors starting to spread. Mason had apparently gotten involved in some shady business deals. I didn't look for the gossip, but it found me anyway. Julia texted again. "Mason's been acting reckless at work. People are noticing." I stared at the message, letting a quiet smile creep across my face. Karma didn't rush, walked slowly, quietly, but when it arrived, it hit hard, and I realized I wasn't waiting for it. I was too busy living my life to notice. I lifted the notebook Dr. Blake had given me and started writing. I am learning patience. I am learning strength. I am learning what I deserve. My handwriting shook at first, but then steadied as I wrote more lines. My thoughts felt clearer than they had in months. I listed the meals I ate that day, the sets I completed in the gym, the books I'd read. I even wrote about how good it felt not to replay her betrayal for the 100th time. Each line was a small victory. That night I went for a run. The air was crisp, my legs strong, my lungs clear. I thought about Claire and Mason, about the cracks forming in their world. I didn't gloat, didn't hope for their failure, but I felt a quiet understanding. The universe had its own pace. I couldn't control it, but I could control myself. I could rebuild, strengthen, and reclaim everything they tried to take from me emotionally by the time I returned home. Drenched in sweat and breathing hard, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Hope. Not the fragile, trembling kind. Real hope. I made dinner, carefully measured portions, and even smiled at the small success of cooking something healthy. I sent Noah a text, feeling alive again. "Thanks for pushing me." His reply was immediate. "That's my guy. Keep going. You're finally winning your life back." For the first time in months, I felt steady. I knew the cracks in Claire and Mason's world wouldn't fix anything I'd lost, but I realized something more important. I wasn't waiting for justice or revenge. I was living my life. And for the first time in months, I felt like I was moving forward instead of collapsing backward. I was stacking files when I saw her in the doorway. My chest tightened immediately. Claire, her hair messy, makeup smudged, eyes wide and frantic. She looked scared. "Ethan," she whispered. My hands froze. "Can we talk?" I swallowed hard. Here she nodded. I didn't know where else to go. My voice stayed calm, though my stomach twisted. "You know, this isn't a good place for this." She took a step closer. "Please, I messed up. Mason, her voice cracked. "He cheated on me." I blinked, letting the words sink in. "I see." My tone was flat, controlled. "So that makes you?" She shook her head. It doesn't excuse what I did to you. I've been thinking about us, and I miss you. I want another chance. I stared at her, and for the first time in months, I felt no panic, no longing, only clarity. Claire, I said slowly, you think I can forget everything you did just because you're hurt now? She trembled. I'm begging you. I know I was wrong. I see it now. Please, Ethan, just hear me out. I crossed my arms. I don't love you anymore. Her mouth opened, eyes wide. What? I shook my head. I loved the idea of you, the person I hoped you could be. But you're not that person. You never were. Tears welled in her eyes, and she grabbed my arm. Please don't do this. I need you. I can't. I gently pulled my arm free. Claire, you broke me. Do you think I can just pick up the pieces because you're in pain now? She sobbed, her shoulders shaking. I've changed. I've realized everything. Give me one more chance. I knelt slightly to meet her gaze. It's too late. You chose who you wanted to be, and I chose to walk away. Now you live with your choices. She gasped. Ethan, I shook my head. Don't. Save the words. They can't fix the nights I cried over you. The mornings I woke feeling empty because you made me feel worthless. You can't erase that with a sudden apology. She clutched my arm again, begging silently. I can't. I love you. I've realized it. I exhaled slowly, keeping my voice calm but firm. Love isn't what you're feeling. That's desperation. True love doesn't destroy the person it touches. You destroyed me, Claire, and I won't let you do it again. Her tears fell freely now. Please, Ethan. I stepped back. I can't. I won't. She flinched as if I'd struck her. You don't understand. I'm alone. I need you. I shook my head. I understood you perfectly. That's why I'm leaving this here. I'm done being your crutch. I'm done hoping for a version of you that doesn't exist. You'll have to face life as you are, without me to soften the blows. She sank to the floor, sobbing, clutching herself. My chest ached a little, but it was different this time. Not heartbreak, just empathy. I hope you learn from this, I said quietly. I hope you see what your choices cost you, but it won't involve me anymore. She looked up at me, eyes red and pleading. Ethan. I shook my head again. No, I love myself too much now to return to what destroyed me. Goodbye, Claire. I turned and walked away, leaving her sitting on the floor, broken. While I felt a strange lightness, a freedom I hadn't known I could feel. Outside, the sun hit my face as I stepped into the street. I breathed in deeply. The weight in my chest that had shadowed me for months felt lifted. I thought about the months I had spent rebuilding myself, the workouts, the therapy, the journal entries, the friends who reminded me I was worthy. And now, for the first time in a long while, I understood that freedom wasn't about escaping Claire. It was about choosing myself over her. As I walked down the sidewalk, the sounds of the city around me, I felt alive again. Not because she was gone, but because I was finally whole. I whispered under my breath, I am enough. I am whole. I am free. The echoes of her crying faded behind me, replaced by my own heart, beat steady, strong, unbroken. I had survived her betrayal, and I had grown. That was all I needed. I saw her again outside the cafe, leaning against the wall like she owned the street. My chest tightened, but I walked toward her anyway. Claire, I said quietly. She looked up, eyes wide, scared, maybe pleading. Ethan, I'm sorry, she whispered. Her voice sounded hollow this time, like she was hoping for comfort, not forgiveness. I never meant stop, I said firmly, holding up my hand. Your words don't mean anything if you keep hurting me. She blinked, startled. I've realized everything. I need you. Please, can we talk? I shook my head. We've talked enough. Her lip trembled. Ethan, I changed. I know I did wrong. I can be the person you wanted me to be. I looked at her and felt a pang, but it wasn't longing. You were never that person, Claire. And you never will be, she gasped, stepping closer. But I love you. I miss you. Don't walk away. I took a deep breath and stepped back. This isn't about love anymore. This is about me. About the life I choose to live without the people who broke me. Tears welled in her eyes and she grabbed my arm. Please, Ethan, don't do this to me. I gently removed my arm. I already did it to myself, once. I won't let you do it again. She shook, crying openly now. I'm begging you. I can't survive without you. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my voice. You're right. You can't survive without me. But that's your consequence, not mine. I am surviving, and I am choosing me. She fell to her knees, hands trembling. Ethan, please, I need a chance. I crouched slightly, looking her in the eyes, my voice steady but firm. No chance will ever undo the damage done. I loved who I thought you could be, not who you really are. And I've learned the hard way that hope isn't enough to hold someone together. She cried harder, wringing her hands. Mason, he's cheating on me too. Everything's falling apart. I exhaled slowly. I don't care about Mason, Claire. That's his life. You will face yours too. I only care about mine now. She looked up, confusion and desperation in her face. I don't understand. Why are you leaving me? Because I finally understand, I said, standing up fully. I am not yours to control. I am not your crutch. I am not the person you can manipulate with your words or tears. I am mine. Her shoulders slumped. Ethan, I shook my head. You'll feel pain. Yes. And that's fair. But I am walking away before I feel it for myself again. You will live with the choices you made. I will live with the freedom I earned. She buried her face in her hands, silent now except for the sobs that shook her frame. I felt a sharp pang in my chest, but it wasn't love. It was empathy for someone who had made terrible choices. I looked around the busy street, the people moving past us, unaware of the drama in our little corner. I felt light, though. Strange and freeing. Like air rushing into my lungs for the first time in months. I took a step back, then another. Goodbye, Claire, I said, my voice quiet but unwavering. She didn't respond. She couldn't. I felt the weight lift further with every step away from her. Outside the cafe, I pulled out my phone. Lily's name flashed on the screen. I answered immediately. Hey, she said, her tone full of warmth. I heard what you did. Are you okay? I smiled faintly. I'm more than okay. I'm free. She laughed softly, pride clear in her voice. I knew you could do it. I leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. I don't need revenge anymore. They're crumbling on their own. Mason lost his job. Claire's losing everything she tried to control. It's satisfying, but not why I did this. Good, Lily said gently. You did this for you. That's what matters. I closed my eyes briefly, letting the sun warm my face. Yeah, I said quietly. For me. I slipped the phone into my pocket and started walking down the street. Each step felt lighter than the last. No fear, no longing, no illusion of what could have been. Just me, whole, moving forward. Finally, I felt what it truly meant to survive. To choose myself, to walk away without regret, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I smiled without guilt. I held the small velvet box in my hand one last time, the engagement ring inside dull and cold. I had carried it with me for months, longer than I should have, a relic of a life that never existed. I walked into the jeweler's, my steps steady. The clerk looked at me curiously. Can I help you? I nodded. Yes. I'd like to return this. He raised an eyebrow. A gift? I shook my head. It's complicated. He nodded without prying. All right, we can do that. As he examined the ring, I felt a strange sense of relief. Not sadness, not regret, just calm. When he handed me the cash, I didn't feel like I had won or lost. I felt free. Walking out, I kept the envelope in my pocket, thinking about the project I'd always avoided, my own design business. Fear had held me back before. Now, it didn't. I texted Lily and Noah, launching tomorrow. Want to come? Almost immediately, Lily replied, "Of course." "Wouldn't miss it." Noah's text followed. "Count me in." "Proud of you, man." The next day, the studio smelled like fresh paint and wood. My designs arranged neatly on tables and walls. People I had invited trickled in. Lily appeared first, eyes wide with excitement. "Ethan, this is amazing," she said, hugging me. "You did this? You really did this?" I smiled, feeling the warmth of genuine pride. "I did," I admitted. Finally, Noah arrived next, carrying a bag of snacks. "Look at you, man. Alive again." I laughed. "Better than alive, I feel." Myself. Throughout the day, I answered questions, explained my designs, shared ideas. I noticed how easy it was to speak, to engage, without thinking of anyone who could hurt me. For the first time in months, I wasn't carrying Claire's words, Mason's betrayal, or my own shame. It was just me, present, alive. During a quiet moment, my phone buzzed. A message from Claire appeared. "I hope you're happy. Truly." Stared at it for a long time, fingers hovering. Then I set the phone down without replying. No anger, no longing, just calm. She had her life, I had mine. My peace wasn't dependent on her acknowledgement. I glanced around the room. Lily was laughing with a guest. Noah was giving advice to someone about design techniques. My friends and supporters, chatting and smiling. These were the people who stayed, who mattered, who helped me rebuild. I realized that this community, this work, this life I was creating was the justice I had sought. Not revenge. Not punishment. Just freedom. Lily nudged me. "You okay?" I nodded, smiling genuinely. "Better than okay. I feel whole. I don't need anyone else to define me anymore." She grinned. "Finally, you earned it." Noah clapped me on the back. "And just in time to watch your baby take off. This is the start of something big, Ethan. You're ready." I breathed in deeply, letting the sounds of the studio, the chatter, the laughter fill me. I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel emptiness. I felt alive, whole, free. Later, I stood by the window, watching the city below. The lights blinked, indifferent, steady, constant. My heart was calm. For the first time since everything fell apart, I didn't feel fractured. I didn't feel broken. I felt me. I thought about the ring, the nights I cried, the months I spent rebuilding myself piece by piece. I thought about Claire, Mason, the betrayal, the lies. None of it hurt me anymore. It existed, yes, but only as a lesson. A proof that I could survive, that I could choose myself above anyone else. I whispered under my breath, almost like a promise. I choose me, fully, always. The celebration continued around me, but I didn't feel the need to be at its center. I simply stood, watching, listening, breathing. I was surrounded by people who mattered, by laughter and creativity and support. And I realized that was everything I needed. Freedom wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It didn't come with fireworks or revenge. It came quietly, steadily, with self-respect, courage, and love for oneself. And now, finally, I had it. I smiled, a real smile, and thought, this is justice. My justice. My life. My choice.